hear the pileated woodpecker. So here we are. It is Thursday, the 29th of September, 2022. And it has been a whirlwind of a week, as it always is. Last week I talked about Judy and a couple of his books and why you need a mentor. I wanted to talk today a little bit more about that, but I got to check on my animals, so I'm going to talk while I walk because I got a lot to do today. And I'm standing here at a fence line. The cows were here until last week. The cows and the sheep were here until about, 3 or 4 weeks ago. And as you go up the hill, I kept moving the animals up the hill, then I moved them over. Now I'm moving the sheep down this way. I moved the cows that way. And the cows are now up that hill and over there. So putting into practice a lot of Judy's principles, which for me this year, since I got here in July, is really the first time I've had the opportunity to put his principles into practice. And I am delighted to say it's working. So let me switch the camera here and get on with my walk. All right, so just every day I come and check on the animals, and I'm ready to, I think, not move the cows, but give the cows another area, because I'm heading down to Albany this weekend, and I'm also want to put a shout out. I want to shout out to the Unity Church community, the Unity Church in Albany. I'm going to be doing some music there Sunday morning. As far as I know, we're going to be the theme is change and social citizenship, so we'll be doing Together We Could Change the World and Be the Change, a couple of songs that I've written over the years. And essentially, change is going to happen no matter what, right? And if you can harness change, if you can be an agent of change, you can really make a positive difference in the world. And we are in the middle of several revolutions. One of the revolutions is what I'm holding in my hand, this amazing 4K camera that doubles as a phone. Like, it's a camera. And it's one of the best things that has ever happened to farming, in that a small farmer can tell his story. Judy does a video pretty much every day, and there's no editing. He talks as he walks, and it's not fancy, it's direct. This is what I'm doing, and you can do it too. And it's the greatest tool for learning ever. Here's my girls. My girls are waiting for me. But I wanted to talk about 3 to 5 things that Judy talks about that are different. I'll back up here. That are different from what everybody else is doing. Yeah. So as far as sheep go, we don't feed our sheep grain. When you feed sheep grain, you then have to trim their hooves, right? We're moving our sheep, right? And if you're moving your sheep, it reduces the amount of time they're camping out in their own feces, because sheep, they poop and they lie down right in their poop. It's like, they're lovely animals in every other way. But I gotta switch this. You guys gotta see these girls. All right, so as you see, Splotchy here is eating a bit of goldenrod, right? And where is she? She's like 3 feet up off the ground. So the more you can get the sheep to eat off the ground, the better. And some of these girls, hello, that's gazelle. Yes, some of these are practically wild. But my girl sheep have gotten the other sheep to not be afraid of me. But as you look through here, every one of these thorny, brushy plants has been defoliated. And there's more way in the back corner, but ready to move these girls. So anyway, good morning, girls. I gotta go check on the others. There's Friendly Freckles. Hello, Friendly Freckles. Hello. You're my girl? You're my girl? Huh? Yeah. And that's Gazelle. Gazelle is not running away from me. She's standing around looking at me. Yeah. You go, girl. Careful of the fence. Careful of the fence. I'll hold that for you. There you go. Let me flip it back again. All right. So I'm going to start with 3, and I'll probably think of more. But the first thing is you don't need to own the land. Leasing the land, and as a spiritual principle, that's beautiful. It's called non-attachment. This whole idea that we have to own everything, it's not about owning. It's about utilizing. It's about, I guess it was Alan Nation who said something to the effect of, you know, it's not owning the land, it's controlling the land that I want. I want to be able to determine what happens on this land. I want to be able to be the steward of this land. I don't have to own it. And by leasing land, that's a direct tax write-off. So it's very practical as well. Plus it gives you tons of options. If you buy a farm, you're kind of stuck with that farm. Now, if you got plenty of cash or your family already owns the farm, that's a whole different story. But for most of us starting out, not having to pay off a mortgage, not having to immediately make a profit in order to cover the land cost, that's a total game changer. So that's one game changer. And spiritually speaking, it's a game changer because everything we do in spirituality is about non-attachment. It's about being able to let go. Letting go of negative emotions, letting go of the things that traumatized you in your childhood, letting go of attachment to material things, or letting go of worshiping the latest fashions, making money at all costs, all the things that we get tangled up in. It's letting go of our culture's runaway sexual obsessions, right? When you are working with animals, you're realizing that sexuality is part of nature's plan and it's sacred as well. So that's a deep thing. All right. So, wow. Okay. So game changers. 1, leasing the land instead of owning it. 2, I got to keep walking. I got stuff to do here. 2, behind me is a barn. I don't need a barn. Everybody up here says, oh, you got to have a barn. Got to have a barn. How are you going to protect your animals in the winter? We have hard winters up here. Well, these animals evolved outdoors. They have wool coats, right? The type of cattle that I've chosen, the belted Galloways, are from a very kind of rugged, nasty part of Scotland, right? Where they need warm fur. And they have warm coats. The pigs need shelter because if they get wet and cold, they can get pneumonia. But my pigs are also adapted to this area. They went through last winter. We had minus 28 degrees below zero. And they packed into their little hut. As long as they were kept dry, they were okay. They grew more hair, more fur. So you don't need a barn. And if you don't need to spend $300,000 on a barn, that's another layer of profit that you've built in. So you don't have to own the land. You don't have to build buildings. You don't have to buy a bunch of haying equipment because you're not going to grow hay. You're going to grow stockpile and you're going to buy somebody else's hay, right? There are people that all they do is hay. They know what they're doing. They know how to do it. That's what they do. And most of the time they're quite affordable, but the you know, some of the orthodox religious farming beliefs are that you have to have a barn, you have to put up hay, you have to have all this equipment to do the hay, and you don't let the animals out on your hayfields. Right? So right there, three things. Fourth thing, moving the animals. Up here, as in many areas, the practice is called continuous grazing, where you just put the animals in an area and they have full access. They eat whatever they want, and that's nice. They're outside. They're eating some grasses, right? But the problem is they eat the grasses they like down to the nubs. And so those grasses are stressed and they can't recover as quickly. And so because those grasses are weak, the forbs, the weeds come in and basically outcompete the grasses. And partly what I'm doing here is removing the canopy. This area here was all thorns and goldenrod. And by removing the canopy, the grass can get some light. And by getting the animals off the grass as soon as possible, the grass is not overgrazed. And the grass still has plenty of what Judy calls the solar collector, which is the leaf. It is a solar collector. So, whew. So those are four. Another key thing off the top of my head, one area that I've had to kind of diverge with Greg is he is a proponent of livestock guardian dogs, and I'm totally for it. But I only have a few animals, and I didn't have the $4,000 for a livestock guardian dog. So I'm using netting. So that's four things, or is it five things? I'm just doing this off the top of my head because I think it's important that we talk about it. And for me, I have to tie it in spiritually, because for me, it's the same, it's really the same thing. Like, does a church really need to have an expensive building, particularly a building built 200 years ago that is not very efficient or affordable to heat? Does a church need a building, right? Can't we get together someplace else? A lot of the modern kind of evangelical churches, the mega churches, a lot of them have been renting space in strip malls. And they can do anything they want in there, right? They can make kind of a black box theater. They can change the layout. They can change the walls. If you're stuck with a building, a church building, you're kind of limited to the way it used to be done, right? And the same with a barn. The things we would need in a barn if we were to build a barn today, and Joel Salatin is much more the guy if you're talking physical infrastructure, and we'll talk about him in future exciting episodes. But to not have to own the land, to not have to build a building or maintain a building, to not have to buy and maintain a bunch of heavy equipment, right? All of that stuff, like people say you can't make any money as a farmer. Well, of course not, if you're spending money on all that stuff. And I would say the fourth or fifth, the next item, I lost count, is that you have to be able to tell your story as a farmer to people who might want to buy your food, so that you're no longer in the commodity gerbil wheel, right? When you're just raising a commodity, no one cares about its quality as long as it's, fits with what everybody else is doing. So essentially, Greg is focused on St. Croix sheep, which are parasite resistant, and he focuses on South Pole cattle, which is a breed that does well in hot weather. I wouldn't necessarily use them up here, but physically they're very similar to the belted Galloways in that they have a nice body and they're not all legs. They have shorter legs, so you got more cow for your body. They have a big old gut for digesting grass. So you want to have animals that are adapted to the situation and the style of farming that you're doing. So you want some kind of grass genetics in your cattle. You want docile. You want less leg, smaller frame, ease of calving, so they don't need a bunch of assistance. These huge cows, you know, with these 100+ pound calves, have a lot of trouble. They die and the calves die unless they're assisted. And again, if you don't have a barn, you don't have a place for lambs or calves in the middle of winter, right? So another piece, I'll have to add these all up because I've lost track. The other piece is that you keep the rams or the bulls away from the girls, keep the boys away from the girls until putting the boys with the girls gives you calves or lambs in the spring when there is grass and warm weather. Oh, what a concept. Having a barn means that you can be sloppy in a lot of ways, but having a barn and the animals always in a barn is where the parasites are, right? And sheep will camp out. Gotta move them. At least once a week. Gotta move them, right? So a couple of things, but even spiritually speaking, all of that, you know, Christianity, Islam, Judaism, Hinduism, Taoism, Buddhism, they all have amazing things to offer. But why can't you pick and choose the things that resonate with you, that uplift your spirit, that make sense for you, right? And it's the same with farming. Like, don't just keep doing it the way everybody's been doing it. Right? In spirituality, people are leaving churches. The mainline churches are just hemorrhaging members because they keep doing it the way they were doing it in the 1800s. They keep singing the same hymns played by an organ, and they keep saying the same thing. And nothing wrong with that, but it's not going to get you new members, right? If you're doing it the way it's always been done. Nothing wrong with traditional farming methods, except for the fact that you can't make any money doing it, right? So you have to reinvent it. You have to find a new way to do it. And I feel that way about everything. I want to do music in a way that really works for me, not the way that it's worked for other people. In the past, you had to tour all the time. I don't want to tour all the time. I want to be someplace where I can walk the land every day and still make my music. Well, okay. And I want to start a church where I can use my music and I can use all the spiritual stuff, but where I can talk about farming and everybody in the pews is like, yeah, we're here together. We can help each other do this differently. And we can help each other with the stressful stuff, with the hard times, with celebrating the good times. So I've done it again. I've talked longer than I thought I could. Find a way to do what you want to do that may be different. And ultimately, I want to leave you with this one thing that Judy said a couple of times, and I'm paraphrasing. So essentially, people think we're in the cattle business or in the sheep business or in the pork business. We're not. We're in the business of feeding microorganisms in the soil and making sure they are healthy and that they have plenty of food. And then they will support the grass, and the grasses and the plants will support our animals, and the animals will support us. And hopefully we can support this earth that we live on instead of destroying it. And to me, that's a deeply spiritual thing. Be the change you want to see in the world. I think Mahatma Gandhi said that. Be the change you want to see in the world. Be the change you want to see in the world. If you don't like the way things are, It's up to you to change. It's up to you to make the change that you want to see. So that was fun. Peace, love, grooviness, and I will see you in the next one. And as always, at the end of this, I just want to remind you that I am constantly sending out prayers out into the world, and I am constantly receiving prayers of those of you who are praying for me. And I think we need to stop being shy about that fact that we all come from someplace and we all go someplace after we die. But we're here now, and we're here together. So together we could change the world if we actually talked about it and worked on it together. Peace, love, grooviness, prayers. Right to you. Prayers. Zoom, zoom, boom, boom. Peace. Over and out. Amen.
What if you could really vote with your heart? Imagine the world a better place because of you. What if we all pause for a moment of peace? What if for a moment all hostility could cease? Be the change you want to see in the world. Be the change you want to see. Be the change you want to see in the world. Be the change you want to see. Brothers, sisters, fathers and mothers, what if we all got together and took a moment to breathe with each other to show that we can make things better? Be the change you want to see in the world. Be the change you want to see. Be the change you want to see in the world. Be the change you want to see. Broadcasting love is a conscious choice that allows your hurt to mend. So lay down your arms and open up your heart. There is nothing that you have to defend. So be the change you want to see in the world. Be the change you want to see. Be the change you want to see in the world. Be the change you want to see. Be the change you want to see in the world. Be the change you want to see. Be the change you want to see in the world. Be the change you want to see. I will hold you in my heart and surround you with love. I will hold you in my heart in the light we're all made of. Be the change you want to see in the world. Be the change you want to see. Be the change you want to see in the world. Be the change you want to see. Be the change you want to see in the world. Be the change you want to see. Whoa. Be the change you want to see in the world. Be the change you want to see. Be the change you want to see.
There you go. Spread it out for me. 6. The pigs will spread the hay out for you. But you do have to, you got to cut the baling twine. Good girl. Such a good girl. Yeah. Yeah. Well, when I arrived, I had a fleece and a down coat on. And now it's perfectly comfortable in shirt sleeves. And, yeah. The quiet just does something so healing for me. I've never been able to handle loud stuff and fast-paced things. And the beauty, if things are going well here, it means pretty much boring from a lot of people. For a lot of high action, high drama people, this is boring. Well, I gotta tell you, I like it. And that's why I cannot separate farming from spirituality. Like when I'm out here and I'm quiet and I'm just listening to the animals grazing or browsing, it's kind of like a reset button. And it gives me energy and hope and just the ability to keep working. And I do work a lot, but it oftentimes feels like prayer. And if it's prayer that could actually feed me, my family, and my neighbors, other people who value this, then we're good. Gotta go.